Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Think Tank on Thursday. So come on in, say hello. Unfortunately, if you are on Facebook, Facebook is acting up. So Elizabeth, I don't know what Facebook's doing to us, but it's saying it's not letting us in tonight. So, but we'll put the recording in and we have some people join us live on Zoom. So come on in, everybody, say hello. Trey is joining us, is he, Elizabeth?
Yes, someone just came to the door, so he'll be back.
He'll be back. Very good, very good. So Elizabeth, I know every photographer in the US knows Elizabeth Homan and knows Trey Homan. But for those who are on this side of the pond, just tell us a little bit about yourselves, your business, and how long you're in business.
Okay, no problem. So I am in San Antonio, Texas, and I have been in business for 28 years. I began this business with my parents, who were not photographers, but my dad had retired from the military and he wanted to start a business. And so he was my business guy. I knew nothing about business. I was more of an artist. And so I started that back in 1992, and here we are, 28 years later, and we are a high-end portrait studio specializing in family portraits, but also do children, high school seniors, a few weddings here and there, but very few, only for my returning clients. I don't actually advertise for that. And so we are in kind of the north side outskirts of San Antonio, and we are on 2.5 acres of grounds. We have a 4,000 square foot studio, and at one point we had 11 employees, but currently we have Trey and I and one part-time girl, and that's it. So we've downsized a lot, and a lot has changed over the past like 5-6 years. So here we are.
So Elizabeth, 28 years is a long time in business. Like when you look at the stats of how many businesses survive 10 years, 28 years, like you're doing something very, very right to survive. How many recessions have we had during that?
How many
recessions have we had during that?
Oh, yeah. 2008 is a big one.
2008, we had the dot-com in 2000, there's been so many, and now COVID as well. Yeah. So you're doing something really, really right to survive, not only survive, but thrive in business over those years.
Yeah, yeah.
So where did you get your love for photography first?
Well, first I was a ballet dancer. Hard to believe, but it's true. I was 26 years as a ballet dancer. I have my degree in ballet, and my whole goal was, if I couldn't dance professionally, was to choreograph professionally, work in a company. And about in high school, I discovered photography, and I started photographing my sister, who was also a dancer. She was a few years younger than me, and she would, look up to me and basically do anything that I wanted. So I had her, in the middle of the road, posing, and all sorts of weird things back then, trying to just figure out, the camera and all of that. So when I went to college, I majored in ballet, but I minored in photography. And then I injured myself when I was in college. So instead of writing the class out, which was what I had to do if I was going to miss dance, I photographed them instead, and I asked if I could do that, and they said yes, as long as you give us the photos to use for publicity. So I was like, okay, that works for me. So I photographed the dancers, and I just fell in love with photographing dancers. Of course, if anybody knows the dance industry, dancers make nothing, and so professional dancers are, while they're beautiful, they are poor. And so I couldn't make a living photographing dancers. It just wasn't going to happen. So I kind of branched out into brides and weddings, and then families. And once I started having my children, I started really falling in love with babies and things like that. So I've evolved, but I don't even now remember what your question was, but that's the answer.
The question was how you got a love for photography first, and ended up in this wonderful of ours.
So yeah, that's it.
So Trey is your husband, and he's in the business with you. The two of you work side by side, right? So talk to me about that. How did that come about? And
Okay, well, in all fairness, we don't actually work side by side. We have a two-story building, and he works as far away from me in the opposite corner of the studio as me. Yes, we're still married to each other after 20, this will be 22 years. And we have 3 boys. And so we live, we work, we raise kids. We have a special needs son, so we have that dynamic as well. And we work because we each have our defined roles. We're kind of opposites in many ways. And he can't handle it when I talk to him constantly. So he has his office completely separate from mine.
So is that the secret to success, to work with your partner?
Well, in our case, it is. I don't know about everybody's, but in our case, we just have to not be together all the time. I am the photographer, and I do everything with the sales and creating the portraits and creating the art pieces. But he does retouching, he does marketing, he does all the business aspect of it. He's also incredibly good with children, so he's my assistant when I have children. So we have our roles, and we know what each of us is supposed to do. And when trouble happens, it's when I start doing his job, or he tries to do mine.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I understand that because Susan sends her love to you guys and to the boys as well. But we're the same. We just don't interfere with each other's areas because otherwise there won't be very much pillow talk. There'll be
Right.
silent. Yes,
Exactly.
indeed. So Elizabeth, I know you're a great believer in wall art, right? Can you tell us yes, I can see. Can you tell us why you think wall art is so important?
Well, first of all, I feel like photography as a wall portrait's been done a disservice. In the majority of homes that you look at today, they may have art pieces that are not photography related, or they're maybe landscapes, and their prized possession, which is their children and their families, are just little 8x10s, or they're terrible photographs from some chain place. I won't mention any names, but back when I was growing up, that would have been Olin Mills. And my parents have a hideous one of us had one hanging up in like a 20x24, which I thought was huge at the time, and now I'm like, that's not big. But I think that a lot of people think that it has to be something cheesy or something that's not artistic, and I try to make sure that whatever I want to put out into the world and urge people to put up in their home is something that has a lot of artistic value, and it shows the people that they love the most. And I think I really am trying to, one family at a time, make sure that that is what's hanging on their walls instead of some meaningless piece of art. Not that there's not a place for that, and some of it is meaningful, but a lot of it's not. They just pick it because the colors look good in their home. And why can't we design something that the colors are going to look good, but it has people that mean a lot to that family?
So do you build all your marketing around getting that message out there that it's really important to reflect the relationships and those important people in your life?
Well, I try. I'm not always successful in all the marketing that we do to get that message, but that is our goal, is that your family is a piece of art. I think our tagline says your family is a work of art, and that's how we feel, and that's what I try to do with everything, although not always is it 100%, and we tweak it constantly.
Very good. So I'm interested in how that links then with how you keep your clients for so long. So, for me, and I know in Europe and America, it can be different in terms of size of houses and stuff like that. But how do you deal with that client coming back over and over and over again and having enough wall space for wall art?
Right. It's a good question, which is actually why probably 18 years ago we came up with the family album. So this one's a baby, but and it's got maternity and newborn. So maybe this isn't the very best option, but here, I got another one. Worry not. I sell a lot of albums. So I typically will sell one piece for the wall and an album of all the other images that they left from their session. So now with your 3XN boxes, we also have that option for people who maybe the album is not for them, that the boxes have filled that void for people who want to display something all the time. And you can rotate those with those window boxes. And I have one right there. So I think that I urge them not to get too many at once because they tend to fill up their house, and then we can't the next time do a wall portrait. But the clients come back to me and they get albums like every year or every 2 years, and they can put those on a bookshelf, or they can put the most recent one on the coffee table. And then their absolute favorite images, they'll create a single portrait, or they'll do a wall collection like that, where when they love so many of them, I kind of push them to the wall collection, which are gallery wraps, individually created gallery wraps hanging together. And then it only takes up the space of what would have been one large portrait. And so now we still maybe have another wall that we can use for the next time. So I did have a client just like yesterday call, and she wants to do another session. She does one literally every year, and she has 5 wall collections in her house. And I've been to her house, I've photographed her house, and she doesn't have any more wall space. So she built on a sunroom so she could have another space to put more wall portraits. So I guess I just have really good clients. I'm just really lucky. Does it work for everyone? No, not everyone does it, but I would say 75–80% of our clients do a wall portrait and an album.
But you said something very important there, and I just want to make sure that we don't lose that message, because I think it's a really important message. Hi, Trey.
Hey, Ronan.
Good to see you.
Good. Sorry I'm late. Darn customers get in the way.
Oh, the customer has to come first always. Has to come first. So Elizabeth, something you said there a second ago, and I think it's really important that we don't lose that point, because it's so important, is that because a lot of businesses that I see, they try and maximize the sale in that one hit, right? And I think what happens there is that it forces sometimes for you to go hard sell, and you end up the client buying stuff that they don't really want to buy, but they feel they have to, versus, and they're going to leave and they ain't going to come back. Yeah, they're going to, like, there's been brands I've seen everywhere and that hard sell, push, maximize the sale once they, excuse my French now, but piss off the client. And the client then has this attitude towards what we do as an industry that they don't like us anymore. But you're completely different, because what you said a few moments ago is that, you try and sell one piece for the wall, which can be a combination of images in a collection. So there's room next year for more, and the year after for more, and the year after for more. And I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I really hadn't thought about it like you just put it, but yeah, that's absolutely true. One of the great things we sell with ProSelect is the room views, and using those, having the clients send in the photographs of their walls. Sometimes they'll send me an 8 or different walls that are empty that they would like to fill up. And I'm like, well, maybe we can fill up 2, but let's save the other ones. Your kids are little, they're going to grow. Let's save this one for the next time. And people appreciate that. But with the room views, they can also see that I'm not upselling them. I'm giving them the right size for the space. So if their space, I can show it to them. Here's what a 20×24 looks like, guys. It looks like a postage stamp on that wall. We need a 40-inch or a 50-inch portrait to go. And when you show it to them, they go, oh yeah. Vice versa, I could talk them down from the size they were thinking about getting because it's just too big for the space. And I think they like that honesty, and they like the real. And I talk to them just like I'm talking to you. I think my personality probably has a lot to do with the fact that I've become friends with my clients that are long-term. And, you know, we talk about their kids. I know things that are happening in their life, and, you know, who wants to go to another photographer when you already have a relationship like that? And so I think all of those things together make for us to be very blessed to have such great clients that have been with us for so long.
So I hear a lot. I think select the room view is absolutely amazing, and I can see how that works. But I hear a lot where photographers, sometimes they struggle to get their clients to send them those images of those room views. Have you any secret sauce that encourages that to happen, or?
Well, I guess the secret sauce is, well, I guess we might have to reschedule.
Okay. So if they don't send them, you can't go ahead. Is that sort of?
You know, I say it like that. I'm like, well, do we need to reschedule? Because I really need, you're going to see when you're here how important it is. And someone, you know, we just didn't do it. And we can't reschedule. And I'll bring them in, and then I'll be like, well, if I had your room, then I would and so I go to one of the rooms that is in ProSelect, and I pull one up, and they're like, you know what, let me have my daughter go take a photo of the wall, you know, and then she's sending it to me while I'm there, you know, and she's like, I should have just done it. I should have just, and so, you know, obviously the ones that have been to me before, they have no problem. It's the new clients, you have to educate them. I talk to them about the importance in the consultation, and I think that could be a key, the consultation, referring to it and hitting it then, and then hitting it maybe again at the portrait session. And then one more time in the reminder, you know, confirmation call. But I don't have that many that don't do it anymore. At first, they didn't realize the advantages of it, but now they do. So after they've seen it, they definitely do.
So Trey, Elizabeth has shared with us that the reason why the customers keep coming back is you, right? So Trey, I have to ask you the same question, because we while you had to disappear there for a moment, I asked Elizabeth. So, you know, I work with my wife as well, and you're working with your wife. You know, how do you manage to make that work?
Hang on, I feel like we're on the newlywed game. Like, he has to have the same answer as me, or we lose.
I'm testing that. So Trey, you better get the answer. Have you got that one where the husband and wife are in different cubicles and they ask a question to put up the blue and the pink?
Yeah.
So, so Trey, I hope you give the right answer.
I know what I want to say, but you are across the ocean, and it may be illegal to say it over there. So I'll say somebody has to be the boss, and we both have to have clearly defined duties. And if we don't have those duties, then that's when we butt heads. I was going to say just having a lot of sex, but that would get me in trouble. So I'm not going to say that.
Well, you got 10 out of 10 on both answers. Good job.
That really is, because I found that anytime we are frustrated with each other, it's usually because one of us did not respect the boundaries that we both sat down and established together.
Very good. Very good. So, and we totally agree, because we've had this conversation already, and Elizabeth and I already agreed that's why it works for us too. So, so Trey, why do you think your clients keep coming back over and over and over again? Like 28 years is a long time to be in business. So.
And that's not a client anymore. I mean, that's a member of your family, and that's why they keep coming back. They've chosen to make us members of their family, and so we treat them like family. We send them gifts. We call them on their birthdays. We do nice things for them for no reason. All the things that you do for your family, we do that as well. And that, and the fact that I think my wife's probably one of the most talented photographers out there, that helps a little, but I think it's the relationship we develop with them. It has to be the relationship we develop with them. there are too many other photographers out there for that not to be the reason.
And Trey, a lot of the retouching of the images and all that side of it, is that correct? So
yeah, you retouch all the images. I just do my final edits on the wall portraits.
okay, so how does that work between you? Does that cause any friction between the artist and the retoucher, or how do you manage that process?
No, not at all. I don't consider myself to be an artist. I consider myself to be much more of a technical person, much more of a data person. So when I retouch, it is not very artistic. It is just fixing the things that need to be fixed. You know, eye enhancement, zits, removing telephone lines. Elizabeth is one that absolutely makes a portrait just spring off the paper. And she goes in and she does those final enhancements to it that a true artist can do.
Excellent. So talk to me then about marketing. So when you do want new clients, so how do you go about marketing your brand in normal times? Let's go pre-COVID, because I know these things can change, right? So typically, how have you managed to market your business over 28 years? Tell me the process and what you do and your secret sauce.
Well, our first thing is probably auctions. We donate to just about anybody that asks for an auction donation within reason, and that's a big thing for us, because most of the people that attend an auction have disposable income and they can come and see us. But the other thing is we have to just keep in touch with our clients, and we produce a newsletter several times a year, and with our newsletter, oh wow.
It's backwards, I know, but.
And with our newsletter, there's always information in it that is helpful for the client. We're not asking for business or anything like that. We're sharing information that may make their life easier. This newsletter, it's how to create backups for your digital files, not just images, but your Outlook and all that, just the different ways you can do that. But then I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No.
No. I was going to say, and that's a physical newsletter that you post, right?
It is correct. We actually mail it, and we send it out to all of our current clients as well as a list of prospective clients.
And I really love that, because all the research is saying that personalized direct mail is coming back, right? Because we don't get as much anymore. So
right.
While most people will send that as an email newsletter rather than the physical piece. So have you had any feedback from your clients to the fact that, wow, nobody else does this anymore?
Not necessarily that way, but go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we send this out 3 times a year, or 2 to 3 times a year. And then we also do emails too, in addition to this. Yes. So it's not just this, but we just did a senior mail piece for high school seniors. And it used to be, at the beginning of their senior year, they would be inundated with mail pieces that they are a senior. Well, now it looks like we're the only ones doing that. And so we had a huge response from our senior mail piece. Now, not everyone could afford it. And so, but I had traffic, and I've done more seniors in September this year than I even did last year. And that's with COVID. So I feel like direct mail can work. And, we usually send out like a big 6x9, 6x11 card. So it kind of stands out from all the rest. If there is the rest. Now, the only thing right now that's happening would be political advertisements. So when somebody sees something pretty and different, it was grabbing their attention. It was positive. There's just been so much negativity that having that has worked, and it's been working for us for years, but this year even better.
Wow. And the call to action on that then, is it to phone you or email you or go to your website or all of that?
All of that is on there. The senior one had a deadline, and so the newsletter doesn't have a deadline. It just has all the events that are happening in this quarter of the year or this half of the year. But the senior one you have to call by this date to be able to get the deal that we're offering. So, and that you have to have that, or people just don't. They don't do anything.
I was going to say that if it's time bound and there's scarcity built in, that's what triggers action, right?
Absolutely.
So just to distinguish the call to action mail piece from the newsletter just for a second, I just want to deep dive because I haven't seen this before, so I'm curious. You've got me going now. I'm not going to stop. The newsletter, is there direct call to actions in that as well, or is that more about building the awareness and the brand, and then when they get the other mail piece, that's sort of, they've already seen the newsletter, so that sort of prompts action, they're already aware of the brand? Or is there also call to action in the newsletter?
There are call to actions in the newsletter. So let me just hold this up. So I know it's backwards, but you can see that we're in this particular one, we're advertising several different things that are going on. And so this one, there's a date of this particular event, which is our Double Your Dollars Day. You got to call on this day to be able to get this gift certificate for double what you're going to spend. So every one of those are events that are happening on a specific day, and they only have so many openings. And so so yes, there's that, and then there's ones of, if you're thinking about spring family portraits, here's some ideas. So it's not like the whole newsletter is just sell, sell, sell. It's like, here's some ideas, here's some things that you can do at home with your photos, and then here's some of the events we have going on. Get it while it's hot. But yes, then in addition, we will send out, if things aren't booking up or something, let's say we're doing a fall family event, and the fall family event still has several openings a month or 6 weeks out, we'll make a mail piece just for that event saying 3 spots open or whatever. And I also do them by email. So, they're getting them, and it's the combination, plus I do it on Facebook and Instagram. And so, with the combination of things, if they don't know and they're a client of ours, they're just not looking at things because it's out there for them.
And you're absolutely right. It's the marketing multiplier, isn't it? If they see you in multiple locations everywhere, every day, well, then they're more likely to know the brand when they get it. But I love the physical piece. I've come from that background in previous life, and so I love to see something physical because I think it's both combined that makes the difference in a lot of this stuff. And people gave up on direct mail like 10 years ago because we were getting so much of it. But now the figures are actually coming true to say that people are getting much higher responses with direct mail again because so few people are doing it. So I love what you're doing there.
Yeah.
And I love the way you've designed it in a way that's an excuse to give Trey a box if you need to as you open it out. No, being serious about it, I love that, the way it's an open out piece rather than, a sort of a brochure that you flick through. I think that just in itself I don't know, it just works to me. I love it.
So now, Bernie, can I mention one other thing, marketing-wise?
Sure.
Because of COVID and life, things are a little slower. And so I took the time to join your Business Success Academy, and I'm going to give you a little plug, but it's only because I truly believe that it works. So I learned it for weeks. I just dove straight into it and hated pretty much learning that. And my eyes were crossed. And
what's a subdomain? What's an SSL?
I'm like, I don't know any of these words, and they're just not computing. But thanks to Janine and the webinars you guys have and the program that you have, I learned how to do Facebook ads and that actually work. And so I'm super excited because I'm photographing my very first 8 people that came in from an ad we did for our Harry Potter themed Wizarding World. And I'm photographing them on Saturday. I'm crossing my fingers we're going to have some great sales. But the thing is that I only had 2 people on there, and I had marketed it every way I knew how. And I've done it in the past, and it's always filled up, but this year, not so much. So, so I'm just really thankful that you have that program. And if anybody's having trouble with marketing, y'all join that Business Success Academy.
Thank you for that. And you know, there's no silver bullet with anything, right? It's a combination of these things. And we've already talked about the marketing multiplier. So I'm sure that people had seen the newsletter and seen everything else you're doing, and the Facebook advert positioned properly with a marketing funnel just converted more of those people in. But and it does work. And a lot of people think that Facebook doesn't work. It does if you do it right, but 99% of people I see do it wrong.
That was me for years.
You know, it's interesting because like the way Facebook tell you to do it is designed for Coca-Cola. It's designed for big brands who just want brand awareness. It's not designed to sell. And you have to do it a certain way to sell. And small businesses like us, you know, we don't have budgets like Coca-Cola. And branding is not the thing. You know, and Donald Miller, who I'm a big fan of in Story Brands, like he talks about this all the time. He talked recently about a company he consulted with who were $100 million turnover business. And he went in for a meeting with them and said, you know, it's just going this way. It's tanking us. What are we doing wrong? And he said, within an hour, he said, you're doing all that branding, excuse my French, crap. You know, you're spending your marketing budget on doing what Coca-Cola do. You're not big enough to do it. Start doing marketing that sells. And that's all Facebook marketing with funnels is, you know. And, you know, you hear all these terms, traffic. Traffic is just people. You know, it's just people. So it's directing your people into something that makes sense to them and make it easy for them to book. And so, yeah, so I'm delighted it's working for you. But you've just mentioned something there, and because like all behind you, we're doing families and portraits, but you do way more than that. So there's the dance, and you just mentioned the wizard. Can you talk to us about the wizard portraits, those theme portraits, and how that
Sure.
works?
Okay, so we started 28 years ago, and you know, an 8x10 probably cost about $15, $20. You know, well, that's not my price anymore. So between then and now, when we started raising prices, we were very concerned that we were going to lose all of the people we started with. And so we created these themed sessions that we called collector series. So they were for the families with young children who would be collecting photos over the years of their children. So it started out with Santa portraits and Christmas themed, and not Easter bunny, but Easter portraits with live bunnies, or you know, spring portraits. And so we had themes for years. We would do 6 or 7 of these a year, and they were very, very popular. But then the mom togs came in, and they started doing things like that, and which made our things kind of start to tank a little bit. So they were cheaper priced. We had a different separate price list, and the sessions were only 20 minutes long, and they were all the same theme, the same background. And so that's how we continue to cultivate all those people who we started with, and now we were, you know, going to leave them behind with our new pricing structure. So anyway, as the years went by, we kind of cut most of the special events that we did, because we were spending a lot of time thinking about them and designing them, only to have 3 and 4 people show up. So we ditched those, and we really just do Santa, some Christmas themed that's non-Santa, Easter, and then we've added a couple here and there when they become super popular. So the Harry Potter wizards started because my son was obsessed with Harry Potter. So I took a photograph of him, and I thought, that's cool. So then I marketed it, and it was a big hit. We've done a Star Wars themed one, and we did Frozen, which was huge for us the first time we did it. And then we tried it a second time, not so good. So we you know, when it comes out and it's hot, you got to jump on it. And so my problem is, whoa, sorry. My problem is that getting the new clients is a challenge for us. We have no problem keeping our clients.
Right.
The problem are the kids the people who've grown up with me photographing are all in high school and college. And so the themed ones are becoming less and less amount of people because I don't have the little ones I'm photographing as much anymore. So I've got to grab those new clients and get them in there. And then hopefully that's what this Facebook advertising is doing for us, is to grab some of these younger ones, then let me latch onto them, suck the blood out of them. I'm just kidding. And just, bring them into our group and then, let me do a family and portrait session with them and all of that. So that's our goal now. But, some people, some of our premier clients are people that started with us 26, 27 years ago when they just had babies or they just got married, and they're still with us even through all the price changes and all the things that we've changed. They stick with us. And I think that's just a testament to, all the things that we do, all the little pieces, all the puzzle fits together and creates, people not wanting to ever leave.
So I think what you're telling us is that the team sessions acted to bring in some clients around that with the children doing the themes, whether it's Harry Potter or whatever. And then when they see what you do and you make that connection and you build those relationships, then that they evolve then into the family portraiture and the rest of the business and stay with you for life.
Exactly. It's like an entry into our studio.
So it's not quite like the McDonald's Happy Meal, right? But it's sort of a bit like it, except you make money while McDonald's don't make much money with their Happy Meal. They rely on the extra sale. But you're sort of appealing to the children, getting the children in for the team sessions, and like the McDonald's Happy Meal, except you're making money with that, and then you're developing out then and bring them into your world to get the family portraiture and all that stuff. Yes. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
Well, people growing up, they're used to portraits from a department store photographer, and they can't imagine coming in here and it being any different. And so we need to get them in the door so we can, number one, show them the products and how different they are, but two, how our portrait experience is totally different from what they're going to get at a department store.
Yes, I love that. So you're obviously, if you're doing the Harry Potter one, that's set days at a set time, is it? So you're using scarcity time that if you miss this, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it may never come back again.
Yes.
It may, but it may never. We just don't know. So, yes. And with our Santa sets, we generally change those every year. So once we've done it once, it will never be exactly the same again. So we've done like baking cookies with Santa several times, but every time I change the wallpaper on the background, or I change whatever the hats and the aprons, and we change things up so that's not ever really the same. So when they miss it, they missed it. And so I have parents that fly their college children down to Santa for Santa portraits. And I just am like, come on, let's move past this. They're in college. But then again, I'm like, no, come on in. I don't care that you're taller than Santa. It's fine.
Yeah, we just did a Santa series 2 weeks ago, and the entire day, all of our sessions were college age.
High school and college age kids.
Mm-hmm. That came in for it. It was not the little tiny ones, and which really kind of surprised us.
I love that. Right, I think that shows the emotional connection you've made with your clients, that they can't miss out now on Christmas with the Homans, and Santa. I love it. So tell me then, COVID then, what effect has that had on the business and the marketing? Are you finding that people are more afraid to come into the studio, or are you finding that they actually have built closer relationships and therefore want to get into the studio quicker? Or what are you seeing?
Well, I think this is a long answer, but for our Santa portraits, just for that to start there, I sent a survey out because I wasn't sure, will people want to do this? Because, I mean, there's no way to social distance with Santa. It's just not possible. And our Santa has been doing it with us for 26 years. That's the same guy. And he's 76 years old. And if he gets COVID, he's got a lot of underlying conditions. Let's say he's been eating a lot of cookies. So I'm scared for him, but he's willing to do it. So I sent a survey out, and every answer I got back was, we will be there. So we will do it. So there may have been people who didn't answer that, didn't make appointments, but so far, one of our November Santas is completely full. So I am surprised that in the beginning of October, we're completely full for one day of our 2-day Santa sets. So with seniors, I think they're not scared at all. They're all coming in. That's not bothering them in one bit because they have a deadline. They're a senior this year, and they're going to get their senior portraits made this year. And they're also maybe a little nervous that would it happen again in the spring where they close down and they won't be able to get their senior portraits. So I think there's a lot of those dynamics. And families have been lean. I can tell you that part has been that's our mainstay, and it's been very lean, which is why I'm running that new funnel to get some more family portraits. But the thing is I don't know what's holding people back. Is it fear? Is it financial? I mean, we're definitely one of the more expensive photographers in the area, and so. They know it's going to be an investment and they just don't have that money. I really don't know. But it has been a challenge to get those people. The ones who have booked, they don't seem to have any care whatsoever. I wear my mask and I don't require them wearing it, and we're outside most of the time. So, and I got a really long lens, so I'm not anywhere close to them.
A lot of our customers are small business owners. And so I think they're trying to hold onto their cash a little bit right now. And I don't blame them. We're doing the same thing. This one over here wants a hot tub, and I'm saying no. We need to wait to get a hot tub, and we need to get over this COVID thing. So I think that's really primarily what it is just fear.
So Elizabeth, you're also well-known educators, right? So how many years have you guys been doing Texas school as educators?
17.
17 years. Wow, that's a long time as well. So, if I'm a photographer now, right, and I'm struggling, there's a lot of photographers struggling with the business, and there's a lot of photographers who just seem to be still doing the business. And what advice would you give them? Like, if there was 3 things that you would say, this is what you need to do, what would they be?
Sure wish you would have warned me about this before, so I could have notes.
I never warn anybody because it's just a chat in a pub, right, over a pint.
Just a chat in a pub with air.
Well, I'd say the first thing is you have to stay positive. No one's going to come and see you if you're poor me, everything sucks. That's not good. So number one is you have to stay positive.
And then I would say that never stop learning. Use the time that you have to do what you need to do, whether that's increase the quality of your photography by learning online. I know is probably the only way most things are happening right now, but there's lots and lots of available options for you to learn and hone your craft. But also working on marketing and working on reading books. listening to the podcast by Donald Miller. I listen to him every single week that they have a new one. And you know, taking your academy has been something that I did throughout this where I had a little bit more downtime, to be able to figure out what it is that I need to do to be able to get the word out that I'm here and that I'm open and that I'm working. But so if you put those two together, and then you know, you got to spend money to make money in marketing. You've got to get that word out, that so people know that you're there. And so I think we've given you a lot of ideas throughout the course of this, that, you know, that are marketing ideas, whether printing and the Facebook and, you know, all of that. And you just never stop learning, and you just never sit on your laurels and go, oh, I'm just going to take today off. You know, I think every single day during COVID, I mean, I may have started drinking earlier in the day, but before that, I was redoing our price list and redoing I did a welcome guide for every single aspect of the things that we do for our seniors and our special events and our family portraits, so that when people were sending information, they needed information, I was sending them, you know, something that they could really dive into, learn about, know how the process worked for me, and then already hitting about portraiture, wall portraiture, albums, and things like that in that. And so I did all of that during COVID instead of, you know, sleeping in. Well, I may have slept in once. But you know, I think we can use this time for good, or we can use this time to say, oh, poor me. Now, I did have those moments where I felt poor me, and Trey would look at me and he'd smack me upside the head, figuratively, not physically, and say, you know, you need to think about the positive things that are happening. Because I would get really discouraged when somebody would call or cancel or unsubscribe from my email list. I mean, these are all things that I took literally to heart. Like, that person just said, I don't want you. And I would be like devastated. And Trey's like, you need to stop worrying about those people and start thinking about the guy and the senior boy whose parents brought him from Alabama because you took his photos when he was 5. They moved away and now he's a senior and they want you again. Those are the things you need to be like thinking about. So I try. I'm not always perfect, but I am trying.
Was that a 2 and a 3 or just a 2?
I have no idea. I don't know where we are, 4 or 5?
Okay, I'll give a number 4 then. You need to concentrate on what it is you want to be known at and what it is about your craft that you want to be associated with you. Because you asked about the photographer who's sitting out there doing that. You don't do everything. You can't be everything to everybody. What you need to do is concentrate on what it is that's going to make you you and different from everybody else.
Trey, I think that is a really good point to make, because do you know what you see? I see a lot. I see people saying, I want to be Elizabeth and Trey Homan, so what exactly do you do so I can copy it? But they can't copy it because they're not you. What they can do is they can have a look at what you're doing and then adapt it to them. And I think that's a great point, Trey. I really, really love that. And then the mindset piece is critical. You know, people are going to see it. Like, we talk about this all the time, don't we? That when you're interacting with someone on the phone, smile, because they can see your smile even though they only hear your voice. And it's all that positive attitude, you know. And because people, I'm sure they're sitting there saying it's okay for you guys to be positive, you know, but we're going through the same as everyone else is going through that way, right? And it's important that you get out of bed and say, you know, I'm going to be positive today and I'm going to get something done even if I'm quiet in the studio. And I see that you're radiating that to me. So I love that attitude. So Tell me more. Tell me more.
Okay, I want to tell one thing.
Yeah.
See this?
Yes.
Remember how I'm scared that Santa may not survive? Trey has become Santa through COVID. He is specifically making everything grow out in case he needs to step in. And if poor Santa gets sick or something, or his wife won't let him do it, Trey is our backup Santa. So there you go. That's all I wanted to say. Completely off topic.
So Trey, if it's not gray enough, are you going to dye it if needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not gray enough.
It's not.
It's not white enough.
Not white enough is what I meant to say.
Yes.
Yeah, not white enough. I love it. I love it. So I'm also, you can, since you last saw me, look.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. You can put that in a man bun.
I nearly could, you know. I nearly could. So I've told Susan that I'm not getting my hair cut until there's a vaccine that works.
Oh.
And she said, no way. That could take 7 years. I said, I know. But sure.
People Rapunzel.
So I know we're coming close to the hour. I don't want to keep anyone longer than the hour, but I do want to talk about one other thing, because it's a question that comes up all the time, and I know that you approach this a certain way. So you know that dreaded question, can I buy the digitals? How do you handle that? How do I buy this question? You asked that, didn't you? I kept it to the last.
Yeah, thanks.
Because we've had this conversation over a couple of drinks, haven't we?
I think the answer may be better if I have a couple of drinks, by the way. The answer is always, well, yes. First of all, I try to find out what it is that they're looking for. And I tell people when they call that we're a print-based studio, that if they're looking for somebody who's going to take a bunch of photographs and put them on a drive or a thumb drive for them, that we're not the way to go. That's not going to be their least expensive option. But certainly if they would like to purchase some printable digital files, and I have them individually or a collection of 5 or 10. But most of the time they really just want them for social media. So ours is just, if they buy a print of it in any way, shape, or form, whether it's in an album or collection or whatever, that they will receive that social media file complimentary. And they're like, oh yeah, that's perfect. That's what we want. And there are some that we lose because they're like, oh no, I want to print my own. And I'm like, well, that's exactly why I do not want to sell them, is because we have seen what happens. We had a bride who came in, did a portrait session, and brought one digital file. This was years ago. We didn't know what we were doing. We just kept trying different things and see what was going to work. And we were her wedding photographer too. So we went to her wedding, and there's that bridal portrait, enlarged up, probably printed at like Walmart. I kid you not. There was no detail in the white dress, and I know there was detail in that white dress. I am meticulous about things like that. And it looked terrible. And people are like, oh, did you do that? And I said, no, I didn't, because it looked terrible. And that's my name. I don't want people printing things like that. So now when they do buy the digital file, it's only up to 8x10 size, printable up to 8x10. And I'm very, very forthright on that. If you want your portrait, it's coming from me. If you want to make a slew of 8x10s from that one image, that's up to you. And then I try to send them to MPix. We use Miller's lab as our lab. So MPix is the consumer division. And so I send them there and say, at least I know you're going to get, pretty good quality printing. But I honestly don't know what they do. So
very good. And I think you're right. I think the vast majority of consumers want them for social media. And I think the way they can't buy them, right, unless they buy them in print as well. Is that? Or
no, they can't buy the social media files at all unless they buy them in print, because I have to retouch them. And I don't want to retouch them for like whatever I would charge for a social media print. I mean, you know, it would be not enough. So, you know, the only time I have issues with that would be the high school seniors. They're the ones who want to have the social media files from everything, and they're not going to buy everything. But I do have a create your own collection with them. And so once they reach a certain level, then they get them all. And so that's kind of the carrot that I dangle up. Hey, if you want them all, we get here, you know. So so it works. That works. But I don't do that with the families.
And that's really, really clever, because, you know, because all the research is telling us that the younger Gen Z and Z, you know, depending which part of the world we're in, which is our high school seniors now, that they want a quantity of quality images, because they're so used to they're the selfie generation and they're used to having multiple images. So I love the way you've managed to solve that client issue for them, while also ensuring that you're protecting your business as a quality business with prints. So that's really clever, really clever. I love what you've done there. So listen, I just want to thank you guys so much. You're an inspiration, and anytime that I see you guys talk, I've been at your classes, and I just love your company, and I know that you've been inspiring to everyone on the think tank tonight. If people want more of you, do you do any do you do one-on-one mentoring, or is it more speaking at the conventions, or what do you do?
I do one-on-one mentoring on our website, which is inspiredworkshops.net. Inspiredworkshops.net.
Inspireworkshops.net. I'm going to put this into the chat so anyone who wants to. Inspire Networks.
And yeah, you can purchase one-on-one mentoring there. You can do just an hour telephone consultation. Buy 2 hours, get the third free. It's inspiredworkshops.net.
Okay, workshops. I put .chat for.
I thought maybe you were thinking and listening and typing, and anyway. So, and then we teach at Texas School. So we'll be there, and I'll also be at Mars.
What's Mars? I haven't heard that.
Yeah, in May. So I'll be doing both of those week-long schools, and then the one-on-one.
Okay.
That's all I have on the docket for right now.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And Susan sends her love, and give our love to the boys, and then stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you all again soon.
Yes, give a hug to Susan from us.
Thanks, Ronan.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care. Stay safe.